Well, it was kind of a tale of two motos at Spring Creek. The first one, for lack of a better phrase, he quit. I know he finished the moto, but as far as like all in effort and him being engaged in the moto and applying himself in the world class rider that he is, he quit. I watched it firsthand. I was watching him all the way around the track, and the telltale signs are impossible to confuse. Like it's so easy to see. As he sits up, like his body positioning changes. He was taking his hand off the bars, kind of messing with his helmet. He actually blocked roost with his hand one time. Like took his hand off the bar and blocked roost with it one time. Like and I'm sure the amount of frustration that it takes for him to get to that point is immense. It's been going on for a long time, like all summer. So I'm sure he just in that moment had enough. And as a racer, we've all been there. We've all had those moments where you just can't take anymore, and you basically just say, you know what, I'm waving the white flag here. I'm just going to ride this thing in. And I've done it. I know most people have done it. You could say Eli Tomac's doing it right now. The second moto, though, I will give him credit because he fought. He fought back. He didn't let one horrible moto turn into a completely useless day. And I don't know if it was, his own grit or if it was Chad Reed saying, "Hey, man, that's not going to cut it. Like, we're all here trying to help you. You can't just quit." Or if somebody at Cowie, Oscar, I don't know. I don't, have anyone to point to. It could have just been himself telling himself like, "We're not going out like this." But there was a noticeable difference, which is the important part, and I think that's just what it's going to have to be for him. The the thought that he's going to snap his fingers and be able to go run with Jet for 35 minutes, I think is what he thought was going to happen. I think he believed that they were going to turn this corner. And I just don't see that happening this summer. Like Jet is simply just getting better. Like he's getting better right now. And Jorge's, I mean, Redbud was a little better for 15 minutes, but then he was so tired at the end. There's no way you could say he was going to be able to do anything with Jet at the end. So I think if you're Jorge, you have to really kind of break this down and look for small improvements. The immediate gigantic jump to the front, which is what he wants, I don't think is a realistic or a smart goal to have, because if you set your goals too high, every single time out is going to be a disappointment. That's the tough part. And there are books written on this and a lot of theories about you have to, yes, you want ambitious goals, but they have to be achievable. Otherwise, everything's going to feel like you're letting yourself and everyone around you down. So I think that there's something in that. It's like, let's set goals for the weekend. Qualify top three, be top three on the start, be better than, be fifth or better each moto. Like those are attainable goals that will keep him engaged and not like, well, I didn't win, I'm a failure. Because I think that's what it's been. When I look at Southwick, I look at these rounds where he was so frustrated with himself. When you have a guy that's won this much, everything that's not winning is a failure. And it's harmful for him right now. Like you could say that's why he's gotten to where he is. Great. I agree with that. But if it's so far from attainable, you're just going to live in a world of frustration. So if you can make small steps, small goals, okay, say you get all those done. You qualify top three, you start top three, you go 5-4 on the weekend. Great. Okay, so let's take that and let's move it up a little bit. We're going to go work our butt off on the break. We're going to come back to Ironman. And Ironman, I want to qualify fastest. I want to get at least one hole shot out of two, and I want to get third in a moto. I want to be on the podium in a moto. Like that is how I think he has to approach this thing, instead of this crazy frustration that he's been feeling, because I know for a fact, like he's coming in and saying, I should be winning. I should be winning. I should be winning. I should be winning. Objectively from the outside, he's nowhere close to winning right now. And that's hard, I think, hard for him to accept and swallow. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and whatever cliche you want to throw at this thing, I think he's got to learn to he's got to figure this thing out. And I'll even go a step further, like Jean-Michel Bale. It was a quote somewhere, Racer X maybe somewhere. He basically said that to come to America and start over in a different culture, different tracks, different team, different everything that you're used to, you have to throw your pride and your ambition and all that out the window. You have to completely start over and accept whatever it is. And whatever it is, take that and then work forward from there. You can't expect to immediately go to the front and then be really angry if you're not. And for a guy like JMB, who he would know better than you, I, or anybody I know about how this has to go, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. Like, listen to those who have walked in these shoes before you. Like, you have to be able to walk before you run. And I just hope, my biggest hope is that he's willing to ride this out and see it to the other side, because I think frustration is mounting. And when you hear they're entertaining calls from back in MXGP and things like that, means that everything's on the table, right? Like, frustration is at a point where you're willing to listen to anything. And I think it would just, I really think there's a chance that he does something that he would regret for the rest of his life. If he went back to MXGP and left this in this way, I don't think he'd ever forgive himself long term, because he's capable of beating this. He's capable of being a top 3 race winning pro motocross guy. I firmly believe that, but it's not going to come by the snap of his fingers. And he has to be willing to stick it out. He has to be willing to keep getting kicked in the teeth until he figures this thing out. And I truly believe if he's willing to stick it out, that he will. Now, can he beat Jet? I don't know. I don't know if he can beat Jet, but I firmly believe that he can be in the fight with Hunter and Chase. Firmly. Like, I've seen it. I will argue to the death with anybody who says I'm crazy. I think he can be in the fight every weekend, and he could be a podium guy every single time the gate drops.